One of my favorite things on the Yale campus is this ice cream shop called Arethusa Farm Dairy. My favorite ice cream flavor to get is their almond and toasted coconut, but I obviously can't get that right now, so I thought I'd try to make it from home. First thing I did was chop up 3 bananas and put them in my freezer for a few hours. Next thing I did was add 1/4 of a cup of almond milk to my bananas. This is optional. It tends to make the ice cream more liquidy, so if you like a more soft serve consistency as opposed to a more solid one, then I recommend adding some liquid. Okay, this is the real star of the show, artificial almond flavor. I used about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Then I added 2 tablespoons of unsweetened shredded coconut. And the final step, like all beauty gurus on YouTube tell you to do, you gotta blend. Okay, so this is the final product, a beige, vaguely vomity looking type of substance, but I promise it's really delicious and doesn't taste like vomit at all. Okay guys, I'm back in my room. We're just gonna have a little chit chat. So I have my ice cream here. It kind of looks like vomit, not gonna lie, but it tastes really good. It tastes just like the real thing. It's less creamy because it's made from frozen bananas and there's no like heavy cream or dairy in it, but I still really like it. I have a list of questions that I found online that would be fun for me to answer. First one, what is your favorite Netflix show? Okay, so I have finished Mindy Kaling's Never Have I Ever. I was obsessed with that show for the longest time, and I would watch this one scene over and over again. It was my favorite scene ever. For those of you who've seen it, it was when Davy and Paxton are in his red Jeep and he is driving her back from the party that she wasn't supposed to go to. It was so good. I love the song. I play the song on repeat. It's just a really good show about growing up the children of immigrant parents. Even if you're not Indian American, I think if you grew up with parents who immigrated here, then you can really relate to the show. So highly recommend that. Other good shows, I love Sex Education. My women's and gender studies professor actually recommended it to his whole class and he was like, I love it. Right now I'm watching Dynasty with Liz Gillies. It kind of looked like trash to begin with. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is like another, you know, CW show. Not knocking on CW, I loved Rain. I'm on episode 3. I like it so far. Show us your songs tab on Spotify. I will insert a video here of my songs tab on Spotify. My favorite genres are melodic house, deep house. I also really like retro house. What is the craziest thing you've ever done? Okay, so I went to the Dominican Republic in March, and you guys probably saw that in my last video. And that was definitely the craziest thing I've ever done because we went, coronavirus like wasn't at its peak when we left. We left first week of March, but we were still thinking, is this a good idea to still do this? And we were like, we should go. We've been looking forward to it. We were supposed to go to Thailand, but then our flights got canceled because it got really bad in Southeast Asia. Honestly, looking back at it, probably not our smartest decision. If that trip was now, I definitely wouldn't have gone. We had to emergency leave the country. We ran into some other tourists at this small little beach town that we were staying in. And they were like, what are you guys gonna do about the flight situation? And we were like, what flight situation? And they were like, you haven't heard, the Dominican government is shutting down their airports starting 6 a.m. tomorrow. And it was 5 p.m. that day. In 13 hours, we thought we were gonna be trapped in the country. Like they weren't allowing flights leaving or coming in. And we ran back to our Airbnb and we packed. One of us was on the phone to the US Embassy. I was texting this taxi driver on WhatsApp saying like, hey, I know it's a Sunday night. Can you drive us across the country? We were on the Samana Peninsula and we had to get to Santo Domingo to leave the country. So we made it there in like 3 hours and he was doing all kinds of foolery to get us there by 9 o'clock. Our flight was leaving at 9:50. This man was literally passing and honking at police cars
in no passing zones.
And they almost didn't let us on the flight because they had like completed boarding and check-in and everything. But we were able to find flights within an hour leaving the country. And then it became apparent as we talked to more people that they were not banning flights leaving to the US. They were banning flights leaving to Iran and China, places that were hotspots back then. But it was like the craziest experience of my life. Describe your first crush. My first crush that I remember was in first grade. It was on a guy named Eric. He was like the one that all the girls liked in the class. Like every single girl in my first grade class had a crush on him. He was really into running. Like he could run really fast. First grade me was trying to have a conversation with him, make my moves on him. And I asked him how you pronounce his last name. Because apparently he had a hard to pronounce last name. Master of conversation. First grade me. Take some pointers, girls. What is your coffee order? So I'm not a big coffee drinker. I had a biology teacher in high school and she honestly has probably been one of the most influential people in my life. She would have a bottle of high fructose corn syrup in her desk when we were talking about the different sugars like sucrose, whatever. And she would pull it out and she would be like, you see this nasty thing? That's what's in your food. Don't eat it. She would also tell us to not drink caffeine because it's as addictive as nicotine, she would say. So I had her for 2 years at a very formative time in my life. So she definitely scared me off caffeine. So I don't like to drink coffee, but if I do get coffee, I love chai lattes. The most times I'll drink coffee is during finals week if I'm at school, and I always get a chai latte and I ask them to put a shot of espresso in it because I really need the caffeine. Okay, we're gonna end with a more serious one. What are your favorite values in friends? Okay, pause. Please ignore it. This pimple on the side of my face. I just adjusted the light and you can see it a lot better now. I think good friends are people who really listen to you and remember things that you say. I think I've just had too many experiences of dates or friends just feeling like you're talking at someone and they're not really absorbing anything that you say and they don't really care to remember. I always really like it when my friends remember little things that I tell them. I think it's really nice and it shows that they care. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and for chatting with me for a little bit. I've been dying to make this ice cream for a long time. I will see you guys in the next video.